A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into our Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube. We'll be joined by the Dear Booch and the Dear Goon as the program unfolds here this afternoon. Lots we can get into. One of the things that just has been coming up a lot, and again, it's going to play out the way it's going to play out, and we'll all find out together. And I think most are suspecting what I am suspecting, but I do think it's worth an interesting discussion. And actually, was just listening a little bit on the way in to Joe Lednowski and the Pennsylvania Sports Network, which precedes our show on Tuesdays and Thursdays and airs every day from noon to 2 here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. But it got me to thinking a little bit. One of the keys to next season for Penn State football, and it is really hard to know right now what to expect next season because we don't know what the roster is going to look like really at all just yet. There may be some hopes, there may be some expectations, but we don't know right now with any degree of certainty or anything close to it what the roster is going to look like next year, who the starters are going to be, how many of them are going to be from Iowa State, how many of them are returning from Penn State this year. And we talk about it all the time. If there is a position in college football that is the key to any team's success, it is quarterback. And Rocco Becht is certainly a terrific quarterback, has been for the last 3 years at Iowa State, and seems like the likely starting quarterback at Penn State next year. I think most Penn State fans, and I know I am certainly among those that would be more than A-OK with Ethan Grunkmeyer being the starting quarterback next season. I think what we saw in the limited time we've had with Ethan Grunkmeyer as a starting quarterback is we saw steady progress. I thought we saw in those last couple of games somebody that had command of the offense and just was again, did a great job in a leadership role, did a great job throwing the ball effectively. And now we have Bo Prabula is back in the transfer portal, and that's what Joe and company were discussing today on the Pennsylvania Sports Network is, hey, would Prabula be a fit? And Landon Tengwall, again, said, listen, that just seems like that's going to be the case. But Landon said, yeah, is it worth a call either from Matt Campbell or from Matt Campbell to Bo? Yeah, I mean, why would you not open up as many options for yourself? And Prabula grew up, I mean, he is, I think, at his heart, a Penn Stater. And so it is interesting. I think most of us are presuming Becht will be the guy next year, but we don't know that with any certainty. And even if he comes in as Chris Buchanani joins us here, Booch, I'm curious your thoughts, because I do get the feeling that while I think there's reasons why Campbell would want Becht to be the guy, and obviously part of it is just the familiarity, the comfort level, and hey, this is a guy that knows what we want, can set the expectations as a leader. But I think this will be a good early test for Matt Campbell, and I'm not presuming anything one way or the other, but do you truly go with, hey, whatever the best quarterback is we have on the roster right now? I'm not familiar enough. I'm not going to sit here and tell you right now that I know by next August one way or the other. I don't. I have no idea whether Grunkmeyer, Becht, or if Bo Prabula were to come in, which of those three would give Penn State its best option to win. And by the way, if those are the three quarterback roster, I'm going to be pretty darn excited about the upcoming season, regardless of how the rest of this thing fills out. If they've somehow convinced all three of those quarterbacks to be here and on that roster, that is going to bode well for the future of Matt Campbell here at Penn State. But again, quarterback is such a pivotal spot, Booch. And again, we don't have any certainty. I'm okay with certainly any of those three, and I'm okay if somebody else, they get a hot shot recruit or another transfer portal guy that, hey, my gosh, how can you turn this guy down? Fantastic with it. But it does feel, as we sit here right now, having no idea what we're really talking about, like Penn State might actually have some pretty good options there at the quarterback's season. And again, that's not the end-all be-all, but it's an important starting point for the 2026 campaign.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I think, Ironhead, the first question that you want to answer when you're looking at who's the best quarterback to lead the offense next year, and this does need to, I think, very necessarily be viewed through the lens of how Penn State's schedule sets up and the opportunity in front of you, where you feel like it's a pretty manageable slate to get to double-digit wins in your first season at the helm. And that question you want to answer is, what system are we running? Well, the answer is Taylor Mauser's system, the new offensive coordinator. And Rocco Becht is already familiar with that system, and Mauser's already familiar with Rocco Becht, as is Matt Campbell, and vice versa. And so just when I think about those three solid options, Bo is a quarterback who fits best in certain types of offenses. Gronk is somebody who I think has shown flashes of a future legitimate college starter who can play and succeed at the Big Ten level. But when I'm checking off the number of boxes in terms of familiarity and preparedness to win right out of the gate, I think that Rocco Becht checks the most boxes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, and I think most, and I'm among them, are presuming that is going to be your starting quarterback next year. The other part of it is, and presumably if that is the at least the thinking right now, again, there may be a conversation with Bo Pribula and Matt Campbell. It is hard to imagine that Pribula would say, yep, sign me up, and I know I'm going to go in as kind of the number two in your mind. That just does not seem like the likely scenario for Bo Pribula and what he's
especially when we saw him leave a team on the cusp of the playoffs because he wanted to essentially be guaranteed a starting position.
Correct. And so, but then the question for me is with Gronk, and how, and don't read anything into this. I am in no way. Whatever these kids these days want to do, I really am. I'm okay with it. Do I want to see every kid choose Penn State and stay at Penn State? Yes, because I'm a Penn State alum and I love the school and all of that. I really do not begrudge or hold anything against anybody that makes decisions for themselves that don't align with my allegiance to Penn State. So if Gronk, after all that he said and given, says, you know what, I don't think I actually do want to stick around here. I want to go somewhere where I feel like I can start next season. All the more power to him. So this isn't judgmental on Gronk. I'm just wondering, Booch, though, again, he still has 3 years of eligibility remaining. You could do a lot worse. He just saw this year, when you're the backup, you are one play away, and he ended up being the guy and responded very well. I'm just wondering if he wouldn't be okay, given his pledged allegiance to Penn State football, and looking at the overall scenario, hey, if I can learn from a guy who's been in this system for the last 3 years and he can help me transition. Again, you can do a lot in 2 years. You can do a lot in 1 year in terms of your NFL prospects. You don't need to be a 3 or 4-year guy in college football. You can go parlay one great season as a starter. And again, in Grunk's case, I think he could be looking at this very realistically and saying, yeah, okay, I'll be maybe the backup at least at the start of this season. Maybe I can go prove these guys that, hey, somewhere along the way, I'm just going to be so good that you have to make the change. Or worst case scenario from an individual standpoint, I bide my time as a backup for an entire year and then have 2 years to showcase my skills. That does not seem like an unreasonable proposition for Ethan Grunkemeyer.
I think that's a strong sales pitch for Matt Campbell to make if he wants to keep him here at Penn State. As we've discussed before, I think Ironhead too, the thing you can just point out is to say, Ethan, you know from personal experience that you're one bad injury away from being the starter if you're the backup here. And we know you can succeed here. You know you can succeed here. You like Penn State. You're comfortable with the program. Clearly, there's something of a pre-existing relationship there between Grunk and Matt Campbell from Ethan having been recruited out of high school to Iowa State. So I don't think there's a 0% chance he sticks around. A lot of it does probably just depend on how he views his path going forward for the rest of his career, because I do imagine that he has put enough on tape through these 6 starts with Penn State and the improvement that he's shown and just his profile as a recruit, that there are going to be programs, maybe not those of the caliber of Penn State necessarily, but a notch or two below, who will be reaching out and saying, hey, we got a nice payday waiting for you. And kind of like Bo Prabula had at Missouri, a gilded path to the starting job this fall. And if that's the direction he wants to take, as you said, it's tough, especially in the current environment, to begrudge him that. And one thing I will tell you, because you and I think, are the same kind of old timers, don't love the amount of player mobility. We like rooting for Nittany Lions, and we like rooting for the human beings who choose to come be Nittany Lions, not just for whoever happens to be wearing the laundry from year to year. I know from talking to a lot of guys from prior eras of Penn State football, some of whom are like legends in the program now, a guy like Kyle Brady. If the transfer portal would have been here, he never would have had the season that prompted Matt Campbell to name drop him in his introductory press conference, because he would have gotten an early taste of a starting role, kind of like Ethan Grunkemeyer did, and then gotten passed up on the depth chart by Troy Drayton. And he never would have stuck around long enough to become a Penn State legend and to be part of an undefeated team, because he would have been in the transfer portal. Brandon Noble has been very frank about, after his first season at Penn State, as many guys do in their first year, and Goon has said this too, just the belief that I'm never going to play here. He said, I would have run with my tail tucked between my legs back to Virginia Tech, and it would have been a mistake. But if I had the freedom to do it, I probably would have done it. So I think we shouldn't lie to ourselves about the fact that many of the guys who we regard to be among the legends of Penn State football never would have gotten there if they had the escape hatch at 18 or 19 that these kids do today with the transfer portal. So yeah, I'm a Grunk fan. I really like what we saw out of him in the second half of this season. I'm not expecting to see him back in the blue and white.
Yeah, I actually won't be surprised either way. I guess I wouldn't say I'm expecting it, but I won't be at all surprised if it happens. Like I
won't be stunned.
That one won't
either.
surprise me. Either way, because I think there is a reasonably good reason. Now, again, part of this is also dependent on, all right, what else is happening here, both on the recruiting front, transfer portal. Does Penn State go out and get another big-time recruit, another big-time portal guy? I mean, all of that obviously plays into this. And presumably part of it is the discussion that Matt Campbell and Grunkemeyer have with one another on, hey, this is truthfully what I'm thinking. This is truthfully what I'm thinking. And all right, well, then let's, part ways, or let's see if we can make this work, or whatever it may be. So that's part of the equation too that we don't know right now. I also, it's interesting, Booch, because you're talking about the old school guys and the number of people. It's funny that the James Franklin stuff. Now we're hearing about people were unhappy with Franklin and the practices were too long and this and that, and it is one of those things. I think virtually every student athlete has had uh, has harbored ill will of some sort at some point against their head coach. It just that is almost inevitable. And really, if the
Joe
head
gained a
coach is
lot
doing
of fans among Lettermen who were 5 or more years out from having played for him. That's for sure.
yes. And really, if a head coach is doing the job, right, there should be, because the head coach should be the disciplinarian, the guy that's on you to be better. And yeah, it ought to be not comfortable for you. And very few of us, hey, we really enjoy it when people push us out of our comfort zone. Right. Not in the moment. Very, very few human beings. Now, are we better people once we get pushed out of our comfort zone? And are there some people that are wired to do that naturally? Yep, but most of us, we need, like, oh man, I know this would be good for me, but I'm not sure I really want to do it. Well, head coaches need to do whatever it takes to get you to do that. And yeah, so there's almost always some resentment, some frustration, some anger toward a coach at some point during your playing career. And hopefully, yes, on the other side, then there's a respect. Oh, hey, I see you were trying to make me a better person. All of Matt Millen and Joe Paterno years later. Yeah, it turns out Joe did know a thing or two there. He wasn't quite the moron I thought he was when I was coming through. The Franklin stuff, some are making an awful lot out of it, Booch. James Franklin is who he is. I think you need to be consistent with who you are. I think James Franklin is. And again, there are all kinds of personalities that can be successful in coaching. I think there's some that think, well, no, you have to be the straightforward, or no, you have to be the fun-loving. No, you got to be who you are and what you find works for you to be successful. And with anything, winning cures all, right? I've talked about this. I think maybe I haven't talked about it on this show. Like Cale Sanderson does some things that I would call quirky and fun, and they resound now because, well, he's won 12 national titles in the last 14 years. If Penn State was coming up second every year, and that wasn't the case, and Cale was filling his wrestling room with balloons and positive messages the week before the Big Ten or the NCAA tournament, I'm not sure it would be viewed as quite the, oh man, this is a brilliant coaching strategy, gets everybody in a good mood and smiling. It would be, well, yeah, this guy isn't spending enough time coaching.
He's not taking it seriously. He's making this frivolous. Yeah. No wonder these guys aren't killers. Absolutely. I was just, as you mentioned, Cale, I thought about the fill the wrestling room with balloons example. And I thought, man, if Nick Saban would have done that, it would have been hailed as genius. And if Billy Napier did it, he would have gotten murdered on every talk radio station in the South for 3 months.
Yep. And again, it's, can I argue that, well, yeah, other people haven't done it because Cale, that is part of why Cale's winning. And there's a reason they're not the runner-up. Maybe not. I do think it is part of the equation for Penn State is that the coaching staff does just about everything it can to remove the pressure that it knows exists and that it knows the kids realize. And it's not like the kids go in and say, oh, man, thank goodness there's no pressure on me because coach put a bunch of balloons in here today. But there is, I think it does register with them. Oh, you know what? this is actually just a game. We can just have fun with this. And they do what they can to remove the pressure that comes with being a Penn State starter, where if you are a Penn State starter, from many in the fan base, it is, boy, you better be a national title contender or get yourself out of here, which is just absurd. But that's the level of expectation that these guys recognize is there. And so, again, I'm not getting too caught up. Once you lose a couple of games, then yes, everything, well, yeah, this didn't work, that didn't work. Listen, James Franklin's track record of consistent success, if not ultimate success, fine, but consistent success speaks for itself. And just, you can't get caught up in people, well, he did this wrong or that wrong. It's working for him. It has worked. It didn't work for those couple of games with the UCLA and Northwestern, and the move has been made. Fine. I think he will pick up and be successful, however you define successful, at Virginia Tech, whether he'll be have the ultimate success. I don't know. And quite frankly, it doesn't matter to me. I think now if you're Penn State, don't dwell on that stuff. Everybody has a little different approach. Everybody has a little different personality. Some are going to mesh with others better than others, and that's part of the whole game, right? Is finding the right fit for you as a player and the right fit for you as a coach, and trying to mesh that as best you can. And again, there's a bunch of different personalities, a bunch of different systems that you can be successful with. It's just, you got to get the right group that believes in whatever it is you're doing. And I do think you need to be consistent. I mean, that is the one common theme, is that the coaches that are the most successful are very consistent with the way they're handling practices, with the messages that they're delivering. It's not that one day they're down and dour and into you, and then the next day they're praising you. And like, you can't be up and down all over the place. Today we'll go a half hour, tomorrow we'll go 3 hours hard. Like, I mean, you just got to be consistent. But I don't like the idea that, wow, his personality this, or the way he structured practice there. Come on. There's a bunch of different ways, and it worked for him for over a decade here. So stop with the, well, this is why it didn't work. It didn't work because, for whatever reason, this year's team didn't buy into what James Franklin was selling. And again, there may have been a bunch of different dynamics. It appears there were a bunch of different dynamics in play, but I don't know. This stuff is starting to drive me crazy, Booch. I don't know what your take on it is.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why there's a fascination for continuing the autopsy on the James Franklin era, in part because we at Penn State are not still, and won't be for a long time, maybe for the rest of our lifetimes, I hope, used to instability and upheaval at the head coaching position with the football program. We've never fired a coach for performance before. So there's just a level of fascination due to the unfamiliarity from the fan base. There's a little bit of the post-breakup syndrome, which I've talked about myself. I mean, I'm a petty breaker-upper, Ironhead. And so when the time comes, I am ready with my laundry list of things I didn't like about you, which I will describe in excruciating detail just for catharsis purposes. And then there is also the question of, well, why didn't this work? It worked well for a long period of time, and then it rapidly and excruciatingly went south. Why is that? What can we learn from it? So there are all of those things. I think I am at the stage right now where I'm about done talking about James Franklin. There are going to be reasons to continue to keep an eye on that program, again, in part just because of the long-time connection, and in part because he does represent a clear and present danger to Penn State's access to its most vital recruiting and talent pipeline in the DMV. And we're going to continue to go head-to-head with James Franklin at Virginia Tech in the same way that Joe and Frank Beamer did for more than a decade when Penn State and Virginia Tech were both clicking on all cylinders. So there were relevant reasons to pay attention to it. But I do think Penn State fans could probably be advised to just relax and spend a little bit more time thinking about Matt Campbell and what he's doing to make Penn State great. Because one of the things, Ironhead, that I thought was interesting, taking it back to wrestling, that came out of some of the conversations Goon and Landon were having with wrestlers on the Players Show toward the end of the season, is the extent to which Penn State wrestlers don't watch tape on the opposition. That it's really more about knowing what you do well and perfecting what you're trying to do to be successful. I think that's where Penn State needs to be right now under Matt Campbell. How are we going to implement the process this guy used at Iowa State and transplant that to Penn State? Because one thing that's always kind of confused me is I understand the historic rivalry and everything with Pitt and Penn State, which I think you do too, miss and wish could come back and view as a cool part of college football when it was still hotly contested. It's over with. It ain't a rivalry anymore. And yet there are a lot of people in the Pitt media that, to me, spend a lot more time worrying about what Penn State is doing than worrying about what's happening in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Yeah. Well, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be, frankly, I don't, other than the way it affects head-to-head recruiting, I don't care what Virginia Tech's doing because we're not in the ACC. I'm worried about how is Penn State preparing itself to compete against USC and Michigan most directly, because those are the big boys on the 2026 schedule, as well as how are we keeping pace with Indiana? How are we continuing to chase Ohio State? How are we matching up with Oregon? And are they chasing our tail to supplant us in the Big Ten pecking order? That's where my focus is now.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about Ohio State, Indiana, and Oregon. And once upon a time, we thought Penn State might be part of this college football playoff system this year. Unfortunately, the Nittany Lions are not, but the playoffs do get underway Friday night with Oklahoma and Alabama, and then the other three games in the first round on Saturday. Do want to take a look at the college football playoffs when we return. It is our Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7.
From decorating the tree to family dinners, gift exchanges, and get-togethers, the holidays are filled with traditions. Why not start a new one this year with a Kia during the Season of New Tradition sales event at Lion Country Kia? No matter where you're traveling this holiday season, the spacious 7-seater 2025 Kia Telluride can get you there. Lion Country Kia has 16 available with as low as 0.9% APR for up to 60 months or up to $2,000 in Kia finance rebates. But that's not all. Lion Country Kia has a great selection of Kia Serenos, Sportages, Seltos, and more. There's 84 vehicles ready to move. And many have Kia's Season of New Tradition sales event retail bonus cash as high as $1,000. Happy holidays from the staff at Lion Country Kia, 1334 Driveover Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally. bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7, The Fox, State College.
And back here on this Thursday afternoon, Jeff Byers, Chris Buchanani with you as we roll on here and head toward a weekend that will include the college football playoffs getting underway with the first round games. Of course, first round byes for Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia, and Texas Tech. And we'll see how those four teams fare once we get to the quarterfinal round this year. Top four seeds did not fare so well in last year's college football playoffs, and I do think there is something to be said about just keeping in that rhythm and building momentum that the 5 through 8 seeds will have an opportunity to do here with home games on this opening weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, Ironhead, it's talking about those 4 top seeds and the bye week and how that did not go well in the first season of the 12-team playoff. I think if people, especially Penn State fans who have only the Pinstripe Bowl and the TBD roster that may show up to play Clemson to get excited about, who are looking for a subplot to follow over the next few weeks in these college football playoffs, I think that the way Indiana and Texas Tech fare this season in these playoffs is going to have tremendous impact on the way, especially the power programs, approach the sport going forward. Because up until about 5 years ago, the conventional wisdom was you must spend lavishly to have these absurd facilities. You know, you got to have a water slide in your facility and a lazy river in a moat around it, because this is the way you attract the top talent, because it's, you know, a relatively level playing field. And then to whatever extent you're paying some star players under the table, that is what it is. To whatever extent Connor Stallions has some kind of CIA operation spying on the opposition, that is what it is. But more or less, we're all competing in the same deep end of the swimming pool. And it's all about who has the nicest swimming pool inside the locker room to determine who gets the 5 stars, right? Then came along NIL and the ability to pay these guys, and facilities fell out of favor. Well, one of the things I talked about it on my show here on the Fox yesterday, I talked about it with Tengwall on his YouTube channel earlier in the week, comparing Matt Campbell's staff that he's assembling right now to the first staff Bill O'Brien had when he got to Penn State and the first staff James Franklin had. And one of the restrictions that those two guys had that Matt Campbell did not was the tightly controlled number of coaches you could hire. Well, now that's gone completely out the window. And so the conventional wisdom has been, hey, you got to go, you have 100 people on your staff. You got to have more guys in polo shirts in the team picture than guys in pads and jerseys. Well, if Texas Tech and Indiana just take oil and Mark Cuban money, all of it originating from Texas, by the way, and they just go out and they buy themselves a roster, and they don't have lavish facilities, and they don't have 100 staffers. All they have is a giant pocketbook to buy the best team money can acquire. Then I think, again, you're going to see the other programs looking at this and saying, well, hey, it has been the law of the land in college football for decades that there's only 15 to 20 maximum programs in the sport that can contend for a national title. And Texas Tech and Indiana ain't two of them. Hey, Indiana's the losingest program in college football. If they can go a couple rounds deep in these playoffs, that is going to shatter the conventional wisdom in the sport. But if, on the other hand, if they're one and done, it's going to reinforce both the fact that maybe you don't want those first-round buys, and also the old formula is maybe something that we can tinker with a little bit, but it's not a playbook we got to throw out. So Texas Tech and Indiana, both, I think, are going to have overweighted impact on the way the power players in the sport think about how do you chase a national championship going forward. So if you're somebody who likes things the way they are, and maybe if you're Penn State, you probably do, because we're one of the few on the inside of the exclusive club.
Yeah.
You're against the Red Raiders and the Hoosiers. But if you want to take a hammer to the whole thing, then root for the underdogs.
Yeah, I tend to be more in the latter group there. But
I suspected you
will say, so what is fascinating to me is the potential here for the matchups. I don't disagree with what you're saying with how it'll be perceived. I'm not sure that it's entirely fair one way or the other, because like Indiana is just such an exceptional story, and Kurt Signetti is such an exceptional coach. And I do think it is going to unfairly skew the perception of everything else going on in college football, including Matt Campbell at Penn State. It's like, well, how good of a coach is Matt really if Penn State goes, let's say, 9-3 next year? Well, he's no Kurt Signetti. I mean,
I think Kurt Signetti is good. Like, you're going to be able to look back 5 years from now, and the number of SEC coaches Kurt Signetti got fired indirectly is going to be into the double digits.
Yes, I think that is true. But the other part of this that I think is at least potentially fascinating here is if Alabama does win at Oklahoma. Big if. And even, I mean, Oklahoma obviously is a traditional power, but I don't know that there is any program more associated with the elite in college football than Alabama. It has the more established tradition, Heisman winners, national titles, great coaches, everything, fan base, the facilities you're talking about, all of that. If Alabama is the opponent for Indiana in that quarterfinal round, to me, that is just one of the most potentially fascinating games you could have in the quarterfinals, because Indiana has earned that number one seed. And I don't think there is anybody outside of Bloomington going into that game that is going to be even mildly surprised if Alabama wins the contest and advances to the semifinals over the Hoosiers. In fact, I'm guessing most will presume that actually is the way that will occur.
And again, yet there aren't too many places on the field where I would say Alabama's got better talent than Ohio State. Maybe comparable in a few places, but overall, I would say I think Ohio State is definitely the better team between a comparison of Ohio State versus Alabama. And you saw what Indiana did to them. I mean, Ohio State was trying to win that game, and Indiana just matched up with them blow for blow.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that I think are interesting just in the dynamics here. And again, to what degree any of this plays in, I don't know, and I don't know that we're going to definitively be able to answer it even after the game. But Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy. I think he comes across as a very humble guy. I think he genuinely is. I think he's very focused, all of that. Also, he's now the Heisman Trophy winner, and he has all of that hype. He's gone through all of the scheduled things that he had to do with it. And that offense looked good against a really good Ohio State defense. But it's now been off for a week. Alabama's offense and defense, but more so I think the offense gets affected when you have that bye week. Well, what if Alabama's able to get some rhythm here against Oklahoma? And listen, Alabama's offense has been kind of hit and miss here as well. So we'll see what happens in that Oklahoma game. But
the good news is, Ironhead, if they get 4 yards rushing, they will have exceeded their total from the SEC championship game.
Which is just, how bonkers was that? I mean, of all of the things in the conference championship games, that statistic is just and listen, Georgia's obviously got a good defense, but come on. Like, you're talking about a big-time college football program that, is now in the playoffs. So whether or not, and, we could debate that another day, whether or not they should be, and we can go through that whole rigmarole with the two teams that got in and Notre Dame out. But, I do think that game is the most fascinating to me because Indiana off for the week, Indiana getting all kinds of praise and accolades that program is just not used to. Signetti being a coach unlike any other, and I think doing everything in his power to make sure they're keeping their feet on the ground and focused and understand the task at hand and all of that. And again, an Alabama program that will feel, this is the other part of it. And I think you could play this out either way, where I do think Alabama will go into that game with more pressure on it. I think the Indiana fans are like pinching themselves and can't believe that they are actually in the playoffs for a second straight season. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're completely satisfied. And if Alabama blows them out, they're just going to be throwing parades. But also, I mean, come on. It's Indiana football. You're in the quarterfinals of the college football playoffs as the 1 seed, even if you lose that game. It's not like the fans are going to be, all right, well, Signetti's, he's winning a lot of good games. He's not winning the big one type of pressure, at least not yet in Bloomington. Now, Kalen DeBoer, on the other hand, Coach, I got to tell you, I mean, again, I know they'll be going against the number 1 seed, the team that, as you just said, beat Ohio State, who everybody had as the unquestioned number 1. But if Alabama loses that game, you don't think that Crimson Tide fans are going to be calling a significant number of them anyway for a change again at the head coaching spot. So the pressure to me is going to be all on Alabama, and I think that can play to Indiana's advantage. But again, there's just so many things there with the off week, with all of the praise and everything surrounding Mendoza, and it's just. It is one thing to say, yep, we're not going to let that affect us. It's another to actually not let it affect you. And again, if anybody's going to not let it affect them, I think it is Curt Cignetti. And, from everything it appears, Mendoza as well. I think that kid is grounded. That being said, again, we're in unprecedented territory here for that program, that coaching staff, and the players. Whereas, again, at Alabama, this is the expectation. This is what they signed up for when they agreed to come play for Kalen DeBoer in Tuscaloosa.
And so much of this sport, for good or for bad, Ironhead, and I think it's mostly for good. It's one of the things that I think makes college football distinctive and fun, is about narrative. Because to your point, Paul Feinbaum will have an aneurysm if Alabama football loses to Indiana football in the college football playoffs. And that's all about the brand of Indiana. It has nothing to do with the team on the field this year, or Mendoza, the Heisman Trophy winner, or Curt Cignetti, the coach. Throw all of that out the window. It's just my brand versus your brand. And if Alabama loses to Indiana in a football game that matters, I don't know what's going to happen to that state. I know how the Auburn fans are going to react. That's for sure. And again, talking about narrative, all eyes on Texas Tech and Indiana in terms of party crashers and can they really make some noise in this postseason. Also, all eyes on Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana in terms of the Big Ten being given throughout this season, pillar to post, the benefit of the doubt by the committee, by the Associated Press, everybody who's assessing the top talent. And the SEC was very salty about teams like Texas and Vanderbilt being on the outside looking in of these playoffs. And if there are matchups between Big Ten and SEC schools, particularly lower seeded SEC schools versus these high seeds in the Big Ten, and those don't go the Big Ten's way, especially if they happen to be lopsided, that's going to have carryover effect into 2026. There's no question about it.
Yes. And listen, assuming that Oregon does take care of business against James Madison, and I am assuming that, that Oregon-Texas Tech game is also equally fascinating for some different reasons. But, here's
money versus newer money.
Oh, yes. But here's Oregon, which, went in as the 1 seed last year and couldn't advance, and now has an opportunity to take out, the right there with Indiana, the maybe even newer comer, because this will be their first year in the college football playoffs. But I think that game, again, because of Oregon, to me, is such a rhythm offense, and so I think having the opportunity to play that game against James Madison, and I'm assuming that game is going to go very well for Oregon, and they're going to be brimming with confidence coming into that Texas Tech matchup. And I think probably Texas Tech's defense is terrific. But having that week of momentum building, I think, is going to benefit Oregon. And I think, again, it's a really intriguing matchup because I think Oregon's offense is very problematic. I think Texas Tech's defense, I only watched 2 of their games with any real length, but Booch, I mean, that is a legit big time defense that Texas Tech has however accrued, whether paid to get or whatever you want to say. It's a big time defense regardless.
Yeah, no question. And really just giving us, Ironhead, the potential blueprint for how you're going to win in this new era of college football. Because I've been talking a lot about, because of the transition from the James Franklin era, whether or not the CEO model is maybe on its way out, this idea that you need a coach who's all things to all people across all the different things you need to do at the head of a major college football program, and whether or not we're going to be overweighting in the future somebody who can just assemble spare parts via transfer portal and recruiting and coach football, develop players and coach the game. And I mean, that's McGuire and Texas Tech to a T.
Yeah.
They have gone out and they've bought talent, and then they have just coached it up, because when you watch that defense, especially, man, they just play together so well. They're so disciplined. Everybody knows their assignment. And that's a real accomplishment when you essentially assemble that group for the first time at the beginning of the calendar year and have them gelled together to be playing great football by the time the fall comes around and peaking at the end of the year. Now, once again, the question that maybe I think paramount on Penn State fans' minds as we get into 2026 is, how does success in the Big 12 translate into success on the big stage? Because it's one thing for Texas Tech to do it against their intra-conference competition. It is another thing for them to do it against the real big boys. And that's why I like the fact that in all likelihood they're going to be matching up with Oregon in the first round, because I think that's a great test right out of the gate.
Yeah, I think those the quarterfinal matchups pretty much across the board, I think are potentially very intriguing, whether it's Miami or Texas A&M. Again, I think having that week of momentum going into the Ohio State game, and how does Ohio State respond now? A little different spot than they were a year ago, but similar in terms of, hey, are we going to let a loss at the end of the year change our ultimate destination? But I think those are intriguing matchups. And then, I think Ole Miss coaching situation taken into account, I still think Ole Miss takes care of business against Tulane. And then I think, again, presents some interesting matchup problems for Georgia. Although Georgia obviously will be favored, but again, Ole Miss will have that opportunity to kind of build on some momentum coming off of the Tulane game, presuming that is in fact Georgia.
Do you know what's interesting, Ironhead? I remember talking last offseason about the first year of the 12-team playoff and saying the hidden life hack in the way this playoff is set up is to get the 5 seed, because you're going to get a gilded path to the semifinals. And kind of the way it worked out last year, that worked out for Penn State as well, getting a very favorable path to the Orange Bowl. I saw somebody post online today what the bracket would have looked like if they were using last year's format. Because remember, the top 4 seeds went to the 4 highest ranked conference champions. Under the old format, Ohio State would have been the 5th seed by virtue of having lost the Big Ten championship game. So their first 2 games would have been against James Madison and Tulane. So again, I appreciate the tinkering they did with the format this year. I might not be so happy about the way they changed the playoffs till we come around to next year, but I thought the issues with making going back to just how crazy it is to even get into a conference championship because of these huge conferences and not everybody plays each other, to say not only are you going to get in, you have a guaranteed spot, but you have a guaranteed shot at one of the top 4 seeds and a first round bye. That was just crazy. I mean, people will argue that Tulane doesn't even belong in the playoffs, but to then say that they should have gotten a first round bye, it was just nuts. So I do appreciate the way they changed the format from last year to this year.
Yeah, nope, I agreed there. Yeah, and listen, for this opening weekend, I mean, the Miami Texas A&M game seems to be getting the most attention, and even more so than Oklahoma, Alabama, and it's almost it's interesting, Booch, because I think there is thinking that Indiana is going to take care of business against either Oklahoma or Alabama, and I'm still one of those trying to wrap my head around Indiana as the undefeated 1 seed in college football. It just I'm still struggling with it. I get it. It's not disrespectful to this year's team. They've earned it. They should be where they're at. All of that. It just, man, it's just crazy to me. It's just not something that in my lifetime I thought we would see. And so, but this Miami Texas A&M game, Booch, is getting a ton of attention, and there are a lot of people jumping on the Miami bandwagon here, thinking that the Hurricanes are going to go in and take care of business against A&M. I'm not saying they can't do it. I'm not saying it'll be shocking, but I'm going with A&M. I think Mike Elko has that team playing the hard-nosed type of football that it takes to win playoff games. But I do think it's going to be a fun watch. I think that is that and Oklahoma, Alabama are certainly the two games that I will be most interested in keeping an eye on this weekend.
Yeah, so I think the reason why you're seeing so much momentum towards Miami, other than, as you said, there aren't really great matchups in the first round. So people like to root for an underdog story. And,
Sure.
I mean, if you want a real underdog story, obviously you're rooting for JMU. But in terms of a game that people expect to be competitive, everybody's latching on to, could Miami, with their speed, their athleticism, their pass rush, could they be the team that pulls the road upset? But beyond that, Ironhead, it's this. It's Texas A&M's schedule. Their best win of the season, bar none, is that 41-40 victory that helped keep Notre Dame out of the playoffs early in September. Because once again, quirks of the mega conference scheduling, here's who they beat in conference play. They opened up SEC competition with a 6-point win over Auburn. And then they rattled off wins against Mississippi State, Florida, Arkansas, LSU, Missouri, and South Carolina, who had them on the ropes. And they had to have the biggest comeback in program history. And the one thing that all those teams I just mentioned to you have in common is that they all stunk this year. And so a lot of people, I think not unjustifiably, felt like they faced their first real competition at the end of the year when they played Texas and they lost. And so there's just this perception that maybe Miami is heating up at the right time. They're getting players healthy. They're motivated. They did not have to play in a conference championship game, which allowed them to get a little bit healthier. And on the flip side, it's possible that what we believed to have been that tough, hard-nosed brand of football that you and I think both would agree Mike Elko has the Aggies playing this year was fool's gold. It was just success against the bottom half of the SEC, which was pretty bad this year. And they just may not be ready for what's waiting to punch them in the mouth this weekend.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see. Like, to me, Ohio State is clearly a better team than either Texas A&M or Miami, and yet whoever wins that game, I give more than a puncher's chance against Ohio State, in large part because of that off week. Again, I'm really curious to see how that plays out this year. And I'm not saying if the top 4 seeds lose that's the only reason is that off week, but I mean you would have to look at that and say, all right, I mean, we can't have 2 years in a row and that be not at least part of the equation here as to what's happening. And again, to me, both for the sake of allowing those teams to not stagnate, if you will, while other teams are building momentum, but also, again, if you're in Bloomington right now, Booch, do you not feel like, is it not bothering you watching folks in College Station and Eugene get ready to watch their teams play in their home stadiums? And it's like, here's the greatest season in the history of Indiana football, and we don't get to see our team at home in the playoffs. Like, to me, if for no other reason, and I think there's plenty of other good reasons, but if for no other reason than that, they need to go to the 16-team format so that those four top seeds get the opportunity to have a home game. It almost feels like they're being punished, or at least their fans are being punished for being as good as they were in the committee's eyes, and that just needs to change, my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I mean, you rewind to last year, Penn State's playing Oregon in the Big Ten championship game. And I am thinking to myself, number one, I know losing is going to set them up, as we discussed, with a more favorable path, given the way the playoffs were structured last year. But the other thing was, I kind of wanted to experience a playoff game in Beaver Stadium. And boy, I'm so grateful that I did. It was an awesome environment and a game and a weekend I'll never forget. And to your point, that they are not going to get that in Bloomington kind of stinks.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very disappointing if you're an Indiana fan. It's like, wait a second. We're not one of the teams that gets a home game. We had the greatest season. Yeah, I think that is at least part of why that
Oregon gets to play at Outson Stadium, and we went out there and won, but we don't get a game in front of our home fans.
Yeah, how about it? It just feels like a punishment of sorts. All right, Booch, we thank you very much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Have a great weekend.
You do the same.
It is Chris Buccanati. The Dear Goon will join us on the other side of this timeout. We have another hour of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show rolling your way from Quaker Steak and Lube after this.
From decorating the tree to family dinners, gift exchanges, and get-togethers, the holidays are filled with traditions. Why not start a new one this year with a Kia during the Season of New Tradition sales event at Lion Country Kia? No matter where you're traveling this holiday season, the spacious 7-seater 2025 Kia Telluride can get you there. Lion Country Kia has 16 available with as low as 0.9% APR for up to 60 months or up to $2,000 in Kia finance rebates. But that's not all. Lion Country Kia has a great selection of Kia Serenos, Sportages, Seltos, and more. There's 84 vehicles ready to move. And many have Kia's Season of New Tradition sales event retail bonus cash as high as $1,000. Happy holidays from the staff at Lion Country Kia, 1334 Driveover Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon, Lion Country Kia, Goon and Ironhead show, as we head toward the weekend and the college football playoffs getting underway. First round games Friday night and then 3 on Saturday. And of course, big NFL day coming up on Sunday as well. NFL weekend gets underway with a good one tonight with the Rams and the Seahawks, which will be an intriguing game to kick off the weekend, but a big one for the Steelers against the Detroit Lions, and then a big one for the Baltimore Ravens as they'll host the New England Patriots. We'll have both of those games for you on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox Sunday. Coverage of the Steelers and the Lions will start at 4 o'clock, and then the Ravens-Patriots coverage will get underway at 8 o'clock on Sunday night. We're joined by Goon here on the Lion Country Kia, Goon and Ironhead show. And Goon, what are you most looking forward to this weekend? Your beloved Eagles, one of the college games, Penn State Wrestling, and the chance at history there. Right? What's on the Goon's agenda for viewing habits this weekend?
A lot, and I can't wait. It's going to be spectacular. It starts today. Great game tonight, man. Tomorrow night, obviously, Alabama and Auburn, Alabama and Oklahoma at Oklahoma. I mean, you know me. I mean, I caught the tail end of you and Booch on there talking about the games this weekend. I mean, you really have to think the NCAA said, you know what, the NFL, the Bears-Packers game Saturday night is going to be pretty damn good and pretty well viewed across the country. So let's put the worst of the games we have out there, and that's JMU and Oregon, which is, I think, a little bit better than Ole Miss Tulane, but you know, I think we need to get away from having all these, all these different invitations for these different conferences to play in these tournaments. So, but I did hear what you and Booch were saying about Indiana getting punished by not having a home game, and I mean that's a lot of revenue, a huge amount of revenue we had last year. Nice little
part of it too. Yep.
Nice little end of year kicking the pants for the local economy, for the school, all of that stuff. So. Is what it is, but I am looking forward to I mean, obviously, the Auburn, Alabama, Oklahoma game is really interesting to me because Alabama did not play that well at that last time they were out there. So I'm interested to see how they play because they didn't play well against Georgia in the SEC title game. I know that for sure. So we're going to see if Alabama got a little butt kissing to get in there over top of Notre Dame. I agree that Alabama should be in there over Notre Dame. I agree that they should be in over Miami, or Miami should be in over them. But I didn't think it would happen. I mean, I want to talk to you about that. Did you ever think that the NCAA would say no when Notre Dame was one of the options? I didn't think I'd ever see that day.
It was very surprising. I will say it caught me off guard, especially. I think the argument was there obviously all along, and if Miami had been ranked ahead, obviously going into the final one, it wouldn't have been as surprising. But yes, I was very surprised. I think it was. Personally, I think it was the right thing with the rules that are in place right now. Again, to me, the head-to-head has to matter. And the other part of it is, Alabama with 3 losses, but I just do not like the idea of punishing a team for playing in its conference championship game. And if Alabama had been idle, right, then there's no dispute that Alabama's in. By playing in the conference championship game is what led to the debate because of the not just the loss, but I mean they did not look good against Georgia offensively in particular, and so it became a legitimate point of debate. But personally, again, I think head-to-head needs to matter, and I don't think you should be punishing teams for playing in a conference championship game when against a team who is not in a conference championship game, and especially when that team is choosing to not be in a conference such as Notre Dame. So I think they got it right. But yes, the short answer to your question is I was very surprised.
Yeah, and then you know where I'm coming from with like, okay, well, that's the rules. We set that up now. That's going to be the standard going forward, or there's going to be another moving target again next year, or they'll have something else. And that's the issue I have on a yearly basis with this thing. It's like their biases come into it, and they're like, oh, well, that doesn't play part this year. Well, boom, man, it played part last year or the year before. Why is it not now? Why is the target changing? And I can see where teams get frustrated by that. But I think the NCAA and their college football like committee or whatever you call it, playoff committee, I think they put their foot down. I think they said we need to teach Notre Dame a lesson, and that is you need to play in a damn conference. You know, you can't have all the benefits of being playing in a conference and then playing a slop schedule like they did. I mean, I know that there's a lot of bad teams out there. Everybody has to play them and this and that, but it's just like the sheer size of how bad Notre Dame's schedule was. Like, you know, oh, they beat Syracuse by 50. Yes, Syracuse. They beat Pitt by 40. Yes, Pitt. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're not beating like you know, an Illinois team that's like ranked like in the top 40. You know what I mean? These guys are the low of the low that they were smoking, and they had an unbelievable game against Navy. I mean, come on, man, great job, but geez, come on now. So I think that the NCAA took a little, I don't know, maybe said, yeah, you may want to start thinking about getting into this conference thing because this is bull, and I agree with that. So I just, again, like I said, I just never thought I'd see the day that the NCAA would not turn their back, but turn their back when they had an option to actually say that Notre Dame was in and they're allowed, but they didn't do it. So I got to give them a little bit of respect for that there.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I do think we need to get to the 16-team format, and there's still going to be arguments and debates again, no matter where you draw the cutoff. But to me, the 16-team format, and that was my preference from day one, is the 16-team format. But I think the clear flaw and the biggest flaw with the 12-team format here is just what we've been talking about, is that those top four seeds, it feels like, are in essence being punished by not having those first-round games. I know it's meant to be a reward. You get to sit back and watch the other teams go at it. But it just isn't. From an economic standpoint, it's not. From a momentum standpoint, it's not. And again, you're setting up those four teams with, at least in theory, the easiest first-round matchups if you go to a 16-team format and let their home fans enjoy a postseason romp. To me, that just needs to happen. And we were talking with Booch earlier, Goon. I know you're interested in it too. I am really curious to see how the top four seeds fare this year compared to last year. And listen, I'm not even last year. I don't think you can say, well, the only reason they lost is that they all had the bye. But I think clearly if they go 0-4 again, or even 1-3, well, you have to say that the bye week is at least not any great benefit for those teams. But again, I think there's some really intriguing quarterfinal matchups, as we were talking about with Booch, including, whether it's Oklahoma or Alabama and Indiana. That's going to be, one of the blue bloods in college football. And if it is Alabama, to me, it is the blue blood. And I get it's not a Nick Saban or a Bear Bryant coached team, but Kalen DeBoer's a pretty good coach. That's still a pretty good team. And still, again, to me, if you had to pick the program that is the signature program in college football, I'm sure there's others that would argue a few other schools would be on the short list of consideration. But to me, it would be Alabama, even over Notre Dame and Ohio State and whoever else you want to throw into the mix there.
I mean, I do love these. Finally, they were having these bowl games and these playoff games because every game is going to be so good. Do we have the ability to Ole Miss beat Tulane by 50? Absolutely, yeah. They've already done it once this year. I mean, I get it. That's where the argument is going to lie. Is like, okay, well, you got a team like Notre Dame sitting out. You got teams like JMU and Tulane are playing, and it's like, is that fair or not? I don't know. It's not the perfect system, but it's the system we have right now, so we got to go with what we got. So we'll go with it. But I mean, I would like to have seen a Notre Dame Oregon game. Wouldn't that have been special? Or an Ole Miss Notre Dame game for sure. But it is what it is. We'll see. But this game tomorrow night, I like a lot. I mean, I'm always been an Alabama fan. They're always been my number 2 team. And then, with Austin and his family in Oklahoma, so we got to, it's going to be a nice it's a nice blue blood game is what we got going on tomorrow night. So looking forward to that one. I am a little disappointed. I did see my Facebook reviews or like annual whatever's memories today, and it was, I started with the whole, get ready for winter. Winter is coming for the SMU team from last year. I don't think we're going to have any kind of weather in any of the 4 cities, the 4 games that are like, like looking at like, wow, what an advantage that is. Like we had last year against SMU. That was just absolutely amazing. And I'm telling you, man, that was, I don't know. You think that a lot of people called that favorite and said, we'll sacrifice this season and have the worst season in the history of college football if we get that playoff game at home last year in that environment? Well, it happened.
Yeah, it was special. Whereas if you had a game in Bloomington, right, this weekend, or Columbus, or even Georgia or Texas Tech, it would have been like Texas Tech and Indiana would have been going absolutely bonkers.
Sure, and they deserve to. It's like, well, you guys get an extra week off. It's like, it's not the NFL here. We're not. These are still 18 to 22-year-old kids. I mean, they still recover pretty quick, a lot quicker than the NFL guys. And the season's a lot shorter than the NFL. So this whole thing about the bye week being an advantage and this and that, playing for the bye, I don't think that transcends down. I don't think that works its way down into the college the way that it does in the NFL.
No, I agree, and in part it's the the routine of it, right? And again, you're just in that rhythm sometimes offensively, and it's just hard to keep that rhythm through practices. It's just different when you're in a game week mode and you're going through your normal schedule and you build up to it and you go out and go back and look at the film when it's just different. And I think I'm sure the 4 top seeds will be trying to learn from what happened to the top 4 seeds last year. But again, the teams that are going to come into the quarterfinals off of a game week obviously will all be coming in off of wins and feeling good about the way they are performing. And I just think it puts those teams that are in the bye week in a tough spot trying to get ready for the quarterfinal matchups. But we'll see how it all plays out. I do think there's some potentially great quarterfinal games. I mean, Indiana and either Oklahoma or Alabama, I think, is just fun from a brand name standpoint. Again, I was talking with Booch. I think the Oregon Texas Tech game just has a chance to be absolute must-see TV. Georgia Ole Miss, it's hard to get a gauge on because I'm curious to see what Ole Miss looks like here against Tulane, and maybe it'll be hard to get a real good read on it. But how much is the coaching change affecting them? Is it affecting them for the better? I mean, it's possible they feel more at ease, and also that they have something to prove now, and they want to prove Lane wrong as well. Not wrong, but I mean, prove that they can do it without him, and prove everybody else wrong, that Lane isn't the reason that they are what they are. All of that, I think, will be intriguing. And then, I think either Miami or Texas A&M against Ohio State. Again, I think Ohio State clearly the better team, the better roster over either of those teams. But coming off of a momentum-building win for either Miami or Texas A&M, I think that's a game of concern for the Buckeyes for sure. So I think I'm intrigued by a couple of games this weekend, but I think that quarterfinal round has something. It has a chance to be something really special, Goon.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it's going to be fun. Always is. Again, I go back to it. Weather's not going to really play a factor into anything like that. But you're talking about like the layoff and stuff like that, and I'll give you my 2 cents. And it's easily the worst game our offense played in 1994 was the Rose Bowl. I mean, there was no doubt about that. We put 38 points up, but we really weren't that good, to be honest with you. We didn't have that like quick hit bang, other than the first play of the game. We had a kick return, interception return. We didn't play that great on offense. So, I mean, there is that layover time that, like, you were talking about Texas A&M and Miami playing Ohio State. Hey, man, they're playing this week, and they're going to play again in 10 days. Like, Ohio State's going to have 20-some days off. It's a real easy time to get rusty. And that's what happened last year. All 4 teams with the bye all lost. It's just that the other teams were into it, and then like all the 4 teams that were that had the bye weeks, they weren't prepared. They didn't understand the situation at first, I don't think, and they all got whooped. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I know that coaches will look at that. Like Ryan Day is looking back at like, why did those 4 teams lose last year? I mean, I know he didn't lose, but this year, Signetti, is he looking at saying, okay, what do I need to change on, can I change something to have a little more, keep it, practice more towards the game type of thing, so we're not losing any kind of momentum. And that's a real possibility of, say Miami has a great, huge, come from behind, upset, like big memory victory over Texas A&M. They're hot. They're playing hot. They're cocky. They're arrogant, and they're going to go into Ohio or go up to play Ohio. Not go up to, but go to wherever and play Ohio State, and might be a whole different team than they would be if they played this or didn't play this week. There's a lot that could happen. So I mean, again, the next week's game. What do we have? 10 days, 2 weeks between games.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're going to go into like the New Year's week type of thing for this second game, and Ohio State wouldn't have played a game since they'd had a whole month off. That's rust. Their rust is going to build up. So it's interesting to see how those teams will change around this year.
Yeah. Again, it'll be fun. I'm glad we have college football playoffs. I wish we would have had this all the way back in the 80s. Some of the potential matchups and the memories we missed out on by not having it stinks, but at least we do have it now, and it is fun to see it arrive, even if the Nets aren't involved. And of course, Penn State getting ready for the Pinstripe Bowl finals week this week, and then we'll be in game week mode next week for the Nittany Lions and the Tigers. Still kind of in wait and see mode as to who all will be available for Penn State in that Pinstripe Bowl, and then we'll start figuring out what next season's roster is going to look like, Goon. And so this will be one of the more intriguing months or so that we've had in quite some time surrounding the Penn State football program, to see the comings and goings of various individuals.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess there's only, 3 or 4 guys have opted out so far. I don't know if they wait for, but do they wait till game week and then decide that? Like, come on, man, let the guys know, let the coaches know. I think. I mean, are you in that under that? I'm in that camp. Like I'll just say, if I'm not going to play, I'm not going to take reps these 2 weeks of these practices before, and then like on game weeks tell the coach, hey, I'm not playing. Just pull yourself out now. Let the coaches understand and get the guys in there who are going to play and get them out there practicing and playing. I don't know how it works, Jeff. I mean, I know when we played down in Ole Miss, I mean, there was guys who even on game day were like, hey, I'm not playing. Like, I don't know. Did the coaches know that beforehand, or they find out at the same time that we did? That's craziness. You'd hope that you would expect the players to have enough respect for the staff and their teammates to, like, hey, I'm not playing next week, so I mean, let's you make the rep prepare for me not playing. I hope that's how they're doing. I hope, because if there's guys who go up to the Penn State Bowl and then say to the coaches, I'm not playing, that infuriates the hell out of me. But I don't want to get too far into that because I don't know if that happens or not.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If you're, and again, it may be happening. Publicly, we know about 4 that have gone public with it. Maybe the others are like, hey, I don't want to deal with any of the questions from friends and stuff right now, but to let you know, yeah, I'm out, but I'm going to concentrate on finals, and then let's make the public announcement that weekend or something like that. That's perfectly fine.
If that's what you want to do it.
But I'm with you. Yeah. I would be curious. Yeah, I will be curious if afterward, if we get word on it. Yeah, I did let the coaches know, or and listen, in some cases it may be that they really are having a tough time weighing what is the right thing to do here for me personally. Good game on just having another good game for scouts to look at versus risk of injury. If I do you look at a head-to-head matchup and one way or the other? Hey, I know I can handle this guy. That's going to look good on film. Or I'm not sure if I can. I mean, I don't know. I don't know to what degree these guys start breaking that kind of stuff down. But I also, like some of these guys, if you already have your degree, Goon, I mean that's also got to be figuring it into it. It's like, all right, yeah, I want to get on to the next stage. But I'm with you. That communication, hopefully they're communicating, and that everybody has at least a pretty good feel right now for, yep, these guys are in, these guys are out. Maybe these guys are, really still weighing their options here.
Speaking of communications, and I don't want to go down this road, but I do want to say it, like that the word came out about that video that was leaked that it was Drew Aller who had taped the Pat conversation and stuff like that. We could talk about that when more comes out, because we don't have real resonant answers on that, so I don't want to go down that road. But I do want to go down the road of who, if it was Aller that was talking. But did you hear what he said about, in my 3 years of starting, every game I went into, I was drained? That there was too many meetings, meet here, meet this time, meet that time. He actually said that, when there was, which always my biggest thing, when there's a night game and there's, time during the day, and there are coaches who were just just get the hell away, get your mind right, this and that. But there were other coaches who were like, okay, we're going to meet at 9 o'clock in the morning, we're going to meet at 2 in the afternoon and stuff like that. And it seems like James was one of those guys where he had every chance that they could have, they were having meetings. And you're just blowing those kids out. You're just completely ruining and just draining those kids physically and mentally before the game even starts. So, I had always had a suspect that he was probably one of those types of coaches that went way too hard and wanted to meet too many damn times. And it was just like the hay's in the barn. Nothing's going to change. So why are we doing this? So that's how I was raised. That's how I was raised as a player. So, but it was, finally hearing somebody say it I was like, okay, that's what I always suspected. So,
yeah, I talked with Booch at the start. So there's a lot of different. I don't think there's necessarily a right or a wrong way to handle those things. I'm with you. I think you're better off letting kids do what they need to do, and maybe some of them it's, hey, I want to, I'm going to sit down and look at the film, and you give them that option. But yeah, I think for a lot of guys, it's like, hey, I'm ready. Let me get my mind somewhere else for a little bit. And so I think part of it is knowing and reading your team. But the other thing, I do think there's a bunch of different ways to be successful. I talked with Booch about this in the first half, which is that you just need to be true to yourself as a coach, personality-wise, and be consistent with whatever it is you're preaching and how you go about your business. Now, the one thing that does seem to be coming out about it, and I heard Landon was talking about it with Joe Lednowski before our show today, is that Landon felt that Franklin, and I take this with a grain of salt, and it's nothing against Landon too, but Landon said he felt like James had those leadership councils, but he didn't really listen, and then did things his way anyway. I caution on that stuff a little bit, because we've talked about this. Like, politicians get accused all the time. Well, you heard your constituents, and then you went and voted a different way. Well, maybe, just maybe, James Franklin had more information than the leadership council had. And I don't know one way or the other. I'm saying it doesn't, because he didn't do what the leadership council wanted, doesn't mean necessarily that he wasn't listening. He may have listened and then looked at it and said, yep, they're wrong. Now, should there be communication back that, all right, hey, I did listen and I heard what you're saying, but here's why, was there that follow-up? I don't know. And there should be if there wasn't. Because, again, I can make an argument to my boss, and they can decide against what I think should be done, and they could still hear what I said and listen to my argument and say, yep, it was, and even think it was a reasonable argument, but that's still not the best decision for the direction we need to go with the station. Now, hopefully, they're able to then communicate, hey, we see where you're coming from. We get why you wanted to do it this way. This is why we're doing it. And again, I may disagree with the decision, but I can at least respect coming back and, all right, well, they did hear me. They just ultimately didn't agree. So, I mean, that communication is important, but I just, I'm always hesitant on he didn't listen, because I don't know that. I don't know it one way or the other. Maybe it is the case, but whatever it was James Franklin was doing was really successful for a really long period of time. So I do struggle with all right, well, now we're going to go back and criticize everything he did over all of that time. Again, could it have contributed to what happened this season in those two games? And could it have been an ongoing issue? Sure. But as with everything, winning cures all. And if you're successful either because of or despite whatever you're doing, okay, you're going to keep rolling with it.
Yeah, and I would tell Landon, like, hey, the leadership council is not the final answer. They're recommending stuff to the head coach who has the final answer, and he makes a decision. Joe did that stuff after in my era. He said he had done it before. We had what we call the Breakfast Club in after the '92 season, because he felt like there was a disconnect between the staff and the players, and there really was. There truly was. And he would go and he would listen to the players. I mean, he wasn't like changing everything on what they are our supposed leaders wanted. I mean, he would take it, listen to it. Okay, I didn't understand that. Now and then he would make a decision. Then, I mean, it's an educated decision, is what he's doing, and that's what James was doing. So, for him to sit there and say that he wasn't listening, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things you could say about James Franklin, but as a head coach, but that is being a head coach. He has to make that decision. He's the one who makes the final decision, so he has to stand by it. He takes all his information from his leadership council, his history, his friends, his coaches, other people, and then he makes his educated decision from that. So I can understand what you're saying on that 100%, and I'm 100% with you on that. And that is that, it's a leadership council. It's a council to recommend stuff to James, not to tell James what to do. So that is what it is.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think that communication has to be good and open, and you've talked about it, Goon, with the trust factor too. Where, all right, I know these guys. Like if Jeff Hardings was telling you we need to go a little easier on practice, like Joe Paterno knew they needed to go a little easier in practice because that wasn't Harding's makeup, right? So, like, I mean,
Hardings was saying we need to go harder. Hardings was saying we need to go harder. You were all like, we told Jeff to shut the hell up.
But that's what I'm saying is, so I mean, if you're Joe Paterno, if Jeff Hardings ever came to you and said, hey, we got to ease up, like, all right, man, like we actually have to ease up here, because so part of it is knowing and establishing the trust there.
Trust
so that
is the biggest word.
Yeah, and again, it's communication both ways. So, if the coach is taking the information and then just saying, all right, thanks for your input, and then making another decision and not getting back to you on why the decision was made, well, yeah, I can see where that's eroding trust. And again, I don't know one way or the other how all of that unfolded over the course of many seasons, let alone this past year with Penn State and James Franklin. Anyways, take a break here. When we come back, we're going to switch gears, talk a little wrestling as Penn State looks to make some history down in Nashville this weekend. And you are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7.
From decorating the tree to family dinners, gift exchanges, and get-togethers, the holidays are filled with traditions. Why not start a new one this year with a Kia during the Season of New Tradition sales event at Lion Country Kia? No matter where you're traveling this holiday season, the spacious 7-seater 2025 Kia Telluride can get you there. Lion Country Kia has 16 available with as low as 0.9% APR for up to 60 months or up to $2,000 in Kia finance rebates. But that's not all. Lion Country Kia has a great selection of Kia Serenos, Sportages, Seltos, and more. There's 84 vehicles ready to move. And many have Kia's Season of New Tradition sales event retail bonus cash as high as $1,000. Happy holidays from the staff at Lion Country Kia, 1334 Driveover Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Luskin Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again.
The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America. 98.7, The Fox, State College.
And we are back here on a Thursday afternoon as we get ready for what will be a terrific weekend of sports. Of course, the college football playoffs getting underway, some more bowl action in there as well. And then we have the NFL season working its way toward the playoffs and starting to look like maybe the Steelers will be part of that equation. The Eagles will be part of that equation. And but some important games coming down the stretch here in the NFL. NHL season starting to heat up a little bit as well. And college wrestling, the Nittany Lions with a chance to make some history here Saturday night in Nashville. What is really remarkable, Goon, is that Penn State is basically 5 dual meet points away from having a 143 match win streak right now. They had a 1-point loss to Arizona State and a 2-point loss to Iowa. And that is it over the last 10 seasons, going on 11 here. And so you had a 60-match win streak broke by the Arizona State loss, and then the Iowa loss ensued. And then since that Iowa loss, Penn State has again reeled off 75 straight. So impressive it is, but very close to being dramatically more impressive are the Nittany Lions. But to me, this one is go ahead.
The Joe DiMaggio 50-game 6-hitting streak.
Yeah,
you know when he lost the 56-game hitting streak. He went on like a 30 or 40. Like he had one day a no hit. And then won like a 20 or 30 straight game again. He almost had like 70 or 80 games in a row. Amazing. Same thing.
That's crazy. I'm not sure I knew that. Yeah. So regardless, Penn State, North Dakota State at 5:00 here on Saturday, and then Penn State and Stanford at 7:00 on Saturday. And if Penn State wins both, it'll surpass the 76 consecutive wins that Oklahoma State had back from 1937 through 1951. and that'll set a new standard. And again, to me, Goon, it's a cool record because it's one of those that a bunch of different kids can point to. I mean, anybody that's been in the program can point to it and take some pride in it, but certainly anybody from that's been on the roster from 2020 on has had something directly to do with that streak being intact. And it's just it's a really cool opportunity here for Penn State to add to the long list of accolades that this program has under Cale Sanderson. But this is one that I think will be very tough. I'll never say nobody will ever do it, but I think in the era that we're entering into here, it's really hard for me to see how anybody would be able to go on a streak like what Penn State has done with the money that'll be involved. And again, we'll see. I don't know how all of this is going to evolve or devolve depending on your point of view here over the next 10 years or so. But I suspect we're not going to see anything close to this in terms of a winning streak by a particular Division I program in my lifetime anyway, after Penn State's run here ends, whenever it ends. And I don't think it's ending anytime soon.
Did they, has anybody done any kind of like work on it and seen how many different guys were involved in you say it's over 11 years, you said? 10 years?
Yeah. Yeah, it's 10, this is the 11th year.
It's got to be pretty cool. You know it as well as I do. There's going to be a guy on there who like, oh my God, I forgot he wrestled that match. He won that match. I mean, there's got to be hundreds of who are involved in that. I mean, that'd be a pretty cool thing to look into and just be like some of the names of the guys that were involved. Because you're right, like Joe Schmo, who won against Drexel in 2014. He did his part. That was his one match he won at Penn State type of thing. I don't know. That'd be pretty cool to figure out, see some of those names on that list, specifically for you because you've been following and calling them for so long.
Yeah. I may have to spend some time trying to see if I can dig through that. I probably have pretty comprehensive notes on that over the course of this particular run, the last 75 matches. So that would be a fun little project to take
just to see who did it, because you're right. Everybody who's worn the singlet has practiced and this and that. They are involved in that. They have part of that. They may not have won any kind of individual honors in this and that in their career, but they're part of that, man. That's big part of history. Huge.
Yeah. Chaz Coleman.
I had real quick in this matchup tonight. Sorry. Yeah. In that Saturday matchup, will they have the same 10? Do you have to have the same 10, or can you alternate?
Have the same 10. Penn State will plan on having the same 10. I suspect.
Okay.
I'd be surprised. There's a chance there, I guess, depending on. I mean, obviously, if somebody gets hurt or something, you'll see somebody else. But I think the plan is to go with the same 10 in both the dual.
Guns blazing, baby.
And I think that is what will happen. And that's been kind of the. Yeah, pretty much. Cale goes with the starting lineup, whoever's healthy, and rolls with it. Chaz Coleman again has entered the transfer portal. We're being told. We talked about Bo Prabula earlier. Announcing that he is also in the portal here. And again, this next week or so is going to be a lot of information, and then we're going to get a lot more here in early January in terms of this next week. Obviously, what the Pinstripe Bowl will look like, and kind of some of the parts there. But then, trying to figure out what this roster is going to look like for the Nittany Lions in the 2026 campaign. Right now it is a real mystery, and there's a lot of moving parts there. And even some of the things that we're presuming, we'll see whether or not our presumptions are right. in the coming weeks here. So it'll be fun. I think it's an exciting offseason. I think it'll be fun seeing who all stays, who all leaves, who all comes in, and what this thing starts to look like under Matt Campbell. But I to me, it's an exciting time here, Goon, for Penn State football. And we keep talking about it, I think, in part because of what we've seen Curt Cignetti do with Indiana, in part because of the schedule, and we inevitably can't help but project as fans and media members looking at next season. Like, it does feel like there's an opportunity here for Penn State to basically not skip a beat in terms of its competitiveness on the national stage. But I also quickly then caution that also it is going to be the first year, and it is a first year that comes with a lot of transition and a lot of instability here for Matt Campbell in making the move to Penn State. And so while yes, I don't rule out the possibility of a double-digit victory season for Penn State in 2026, I'm also we got to see how everything comes together and then start to form the projections for next year. When we have no idea what this roster actually will look like, how many Iowa State players are coming in, how many Penn State players are staying, how many players from other programs that can make an immediate significant positive impact will come in. We have no idea on any of that. And so let's at least wait and see. All right, now we have an idea. These are at least the players. This is what I think they might be able to do together under Matt Campbell at Penn State. Still going to be guesswork, but right now, I mean, I'm seeing people making predictions. You have no idea who's going to be the quarterback. You have no idea what running backs are going to be there. Like, how are you making predictions?
Nobody has a problem viewing their on social media, giving their 2 cents. My God almighty, it's unbelievable. Just relax. It's not going to be overnight. We're not going to know tomorrow. It's just like everybody is just like so pushy and aggressive, and the rush to be first. And you look foolish in the end, in my opinion. People who are out there like, oh my God, like one kid enters a portal. The world is ending, Oh, here comes the mass exodus. Oh, the world is ending, this and that. And then it's like, dude, the guy wasn't even going to play next year. Like the guy was barely even on the team now, and he's transferring, but you're making it seem like, the Todd Blackledge just left, and if Hostetler's coming back. I mean, everybody just needs to freaking chill and relax on the social media world. It's amazing, Jeff. It's angering, very infuriating at times, and I see it as fun sometimes, but other times I'm just like, hey man, that's way too far. Like, people making all these big bold predictions and this happened and that happened. If you don't know, don't say it. That's an easy way to live your life, in my opinion. I mean, it's just like, why do you want to spread false information? It's geez Louise, man. And it's getting worse. Absolutely worse.
Yes. That you can't really dispute that. And it's all going to take care of itself. It's going to sort itself out. And here's the thing, Goon. Even when we're going to get a pretty good handle on the roster, and then we're going to make our projections and what we think is going to happen. And then half the time we're going to be wrong one way or the other anyway. See Texas, Penn State, Clemson, LSU from this past season with the preseason projections and what we thought we knew was going to happen. And then, you watch what actually transpires, and kudos to Indy among the many others for putting together these seasons that they did. And so even once we know, we don't actually know. And that's the beauty of sports in general and college sports in particular.
God bless them. God bless them.
Real quick, Goon, your thoughts on the Eagles here. They just need to schedule more games with the Raiders, I think, to to start feeling really good.
I'm a red zone guy, right? So that was good. And it was like I literally saw like 4 plays of the Eagles the other day. And I just like was reading like all my like, friends from home, all their like Facebook posts, and like somebody said that Raiders team may have been the most defeated, not ready to play in the NFL football team that they have ever seen. Like it was crazy to even think about that. Like it's just, how do they win 2 games? And the people that they beat is insane. So that Raiders team was just really, really bad. They need a lot of help out there. But the Eagles, I mean, they needed that. And, everybody's sitting there saying, oh, well, Hurts is back. He had 3 touchdowns. I mean, he threw a shovel pass. He threw a out pattern. So I don't know. It's not all there. But I will say this, and that is, if it comes down to it, I'll always put my chips on the Eagles and Jalen Hurts, because he will find a way to win. He doesn't care if he wins ugly. And that's the best part about him, is that he just wants to win. He doesn't care about how it gets done, as long as it gets done.
And I will say, you can say a lot of the same for Aaron Rodgers, and I think he has that locker room believing right now.
He does. I noticed that Monday night, man. And I know it was a bad team in Miami and all, but he looked good.
Well, but Miami was red hot, and their running game going into that game had put up really good numbers over the past month. And the Steelers did a good job shutting it down, even without T.J. Watt. So this Lions game to me is really telling for the Steelers. Not even necessarily whether they win or lose. Obviously, I want them to win and build on the momentum. But if they're competitive and show up well, if Detroit plays well and the Steelers play well and they come away short, I'm still going to like their chances. But man, if they can go in there and win over the Lions in Detroit, and then take care of business against Cleveland the following week, there's a chance they can render the end of the season meeting with the Ravens meaningless and already have the division in tow. That was a trip down Ironhead's fantasy lane to wrap up today's program.
The ultimate fantasy is still there, Jeffrey.
Oh, yes, it is.
The Keystone Super Bowl is still there. Just throwing it out there.
Yes. Just saying it's a possibility. You're saying there's a chance. Folks, have a great weekend. We will be back on Tuesday with our final show before Christmas. Until then, be good and be safe.
From decorating the tree to family dinners, gift exchanges, and get-togethers, the holidays are filled with traditions. Why not start a new one this year with a Kia during the Season of New Tradition sales event at Lion Country Kia? No matter where you're traveling this holiday season, the spacious 7-seater 2025 Kia Telluride can get you there. Lion Country Kia has 16 available with as low as 0.9% APR for up to 60 months or up to $2,000 in Kia finance rebates. But that's not all. Lion Country Kia has a great selection of Kia Serenos, Sportages, Seltos, and more. There's 84 vehicles ready to move. And many have Kia's Season of New Tradition sales event retail bonus cash as high as $1,000. Happy holidays from the staff at Lion Country Kia, 1334 Driveover Street off Shiloh Road behind Sam's Club, State College.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
Luskin Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Hi, welcome to Timberland Federal Credit Union, a financial cooperative for its members, tracing all the way back to 1973.
Experience Timberland Federal Credit Union, where you're greeted with a smile and financial solutions are tailored to your unique life journey. Here, we're not just financial professionals, we're your neighbors, people invested in your financial needs, literacy, and empowerment. Your dreams matter to us, whether they're about buying a home, growing a nest egg, or embarking on new adventures. TFCU draws from the past and invests in the future, offering modern tools like online banking to give you the freedom to manage your money practically anytime. Additionally, we're passionate about giving back both time and resources because enhancing our community is at the core of why we're here. Visit TFCU in person or online to learn more about our services and apply for a membership today.
WFXS, once again,
The Fox,
your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7, The Fox, State College.